ThatGreatBusinessShow.com is brought to you by De Facto Shaving Oil, the best anyone can get. Made in Ireland, sold worldwide.
Welcome to ThatGreatBusinessShow.com, episode 12, posted on the 11th of December 2020. If you have a heartbeat at all, you'll know that the Supervalu Christmas ad is just fantastic. Today, we follow the creative process that made this world-class ad, all made in Ireland. Energy retrofitting could save your business over 30% in costs, and you don't have to pay for it. A company that exploded due to COVID and how they plan on keeping those pyrotechnics going. And the cryogenics business. No, it's not about tears. Every business has those moments. No, this Wicklow-based business is about to deliver your COVID vaccine at under 70 degrees centigrade, I think, isn't it? As always, we do business differently. And we bring you business insights, tips, and most importantly, the encouragement to carry on with your crazy enterprise dream. That's why we keep it real. No fancy overnight millionaire stories here. And we can bring you ThatGreatBusinessShow.com thanks to our sponsor, De Facto. They make the world's best shaving oil.
I used it this morning.
You didn't use it on TV on Saturday.
No, I didn't, but for you.
Oh,
I used it this morning.
Well, a couple of drops on wet skin and you'll have the smoothest, softest skin on the planet. Smooth as a baby's bottom, just like Jamie. One man who knows all about this is my co-host, as I mentioned, Jamie Heaslip, investor, entrepreneur, business coach. But today, we're back calling him a rugby legend. And why? Well, because World Rugby awarded him Try of the Decade during the week. Some accolade, some try, some lad. And I'm not going to ask you for your usual words of wisdom today, Jamie. Now, you know, I have never, ever played a game of rugby in my life, but I am hugely interested in human emotion. And having watched that try, I have to know, what was going through your mind? What were you thinking of? Or do you even think when you're lashing down the pitch with another lads chasing you? What are you thinking of? And particularly, you tap down the ball.
For that one, I thought, get up, they've made a line break, run, because you don't want Joe Schmidt pulling you up on the Monday morning review and being the one where he's gone, why weren't you at that ruck? And so the quickest way to crow flies is straight. So I made a beeline up the field. And as I said to lots of people over last week, throughout my career, I did that numerous times and got nothing at the end of it. And if I, talking to Ferg McFadden, who's been on to me a lot, who made the pass to me, he said, if I'd known it was you / a forward outside of me, I wouldn't have passed the ball. You're going to be dining out in this for years.
And you are. Some years later, you're still.
Well, yeah.
Try of the decade.
Well, look, I know how to fall over a line better than anyone, I think. And I know, look, was it 7 different players, 9 passes in just that phase alone? You could, if you include Jack McGrath actually carried into that ruck, that's 8 different players. And yeah, I think there was some great. I actually think there was better individual tries that were nominated, but I think it was the one true team try, and that's what rugby's all about.
Well said. Okay, we're not a rugby show. We're not a sports show. We're a business show.
Can I get my words of wisdom, please?
Oh God, go on. Jamie's words of wisdom.
Here we go. This is a good one. I saw the angel in the marble, and I carved it until I set it free.
Okay, who said that?
Michelangelo.
Okay, how do you know? Were you there?
I gave him a call. What's happening?
Meanwhile, our first guest on ThatGreatBusinessShow.com prefers to be known as Ireland's cryogenic king. But with an eye to a cheap headline, I thought Ireland's semen king sounded better.
Oh.
You'll get to that in a second. Bray County Wicklow-based Asistec does 90% of its business supplying scientific labs with top-end equipment. They're also in the business of transporting freezing vaccines, such as the COVID-19 vaccine we're all queuing up for. The other 10% of the business is, as I mentioned, semen. Tony Harbison is founder of Asistec. Welcome to That Great Business Show, Tony.
So, Tony, before we get going, I think it's better to just get the elephant out of the room. Give us all the nicknames your mates call you when they hear this stuff. Go.
I couldn't even start. But I am known as the AI man. That's not artificial intelligence. It's I'm known as lots of different names. But I'm not going to tell you anymore, because I'm just surprised, Jamie, that you remember those tries in such detail, because having been a bit of a sportsman, I never remember anything once it's closed, finished.
No, it's funny. I don't remember.
A lot, yeah.
I don't remember yesterday. But, that's been shown so many times that you remember it. Like,
yes,
and we're lucky in this day and age that everything's recorded and da-da-da. But when people go on to me about games, I was like, yeah, I kind of remember that. I remember winning, lifting the trophies, right?
But I know some people certainly remember, and people say, remember that goal you scored when we went to the final of the Irish Senior Cup in 1984? And I say, no, I don't. And they do, but I asked them to recount it to me.
Gentlemen, can I bring you back into order here?
Well, let's talk semen.
We do a little bit of semen work, and that really is working with the AI, the farmers, and it's a very important part of our business, and I really enjoy working with them. They're good people. They're good customers, good clients, and they pay their bills. So what more can you ask for?
What do you do?
We supply them with what they call the DIY containers. So the farmers are basically they're selling their farm produce, but they're also selling semen. So the AI stations are collecting semen, they're delivering it to the vets and the technicians who service the national herd between February and the middle of May. Yeah. And so there's a huge business, not only internationally in transportation of semen, but also locally for the national herd. And we know in Ireland it's a very important business, dairy. And it accounts for about 10% of my business. Yeah. But we are a solutions provider for storing and growing cells. And when you talk about storing cells,
we'll get to that in a second. I was just want to hold on. I want to stick with semen for a reason.
Semen. Yeah, so we have technicians.
Are you the king of semen in the sense? Who else does it?
You just wanted to say that in there.
I know my nickname from today is now Semen King or King of Semen or something along those lines. But I've been called a lot worse. I'll go with that.
How much of the market do you own, and what do you do with the semen?
I am lucky that as a cryogenic supplier in Ireland, we would be the dominant player.
51% or 90%?
No, 70, 80%. And this year in particular, because we import a lot of these goods, and I'm ordering now to deliver now in February. And I was lucky, I got my goods in this year ahead of the lockdown. So this year we were all cleaned out in our annual supply by the beginning of June. And in fact, we had to bring in a lot more. So this year, my order for next year is substantially greater. Yeah. So I would like to think that maybe next year we would have a greater percentage. But we have to deliver the goods. They have to be good quality and they have to be at a price. The farmers don't accept anything less. Yeah. Because if I raise the price by €1, they'll fight me for it.
And so am I right in saying it's not, we're talking about semen here, but because that is a big trade in the farming world, in the equine world, everywhere, right? Yeah. But am I right in saying, not that you put together the equipment to transport and store it.
Yeah. That's one
You're
part.
agnostic to what you're storing, essentially, but your expertise is in that.
The AI is just the vessels, and we put 300 or 400 vessels into the AI market every year. Now, an institute like UCD down the road would one department might buy one vessel a year or every 2 or 3 years. Yeah. But I put 400 into the AI business every year. Yeah. But that's not the integrated solutions, which is our USP. It's in the pharma and in the biotech industry where we build the facilities and then we tie instruments together.
What kind of instruments?
Well, supply vessels for the liquid, which are known as dewars. So these would be large bulk tanks outside a building. Anything from 1,000 litres up to, there's a 50 or 60,000 litre outside Regeneron in Limerick.
Give me
It's like a rocket ship outside the building to a micro bulk tank that would fit in the room here.
Okay.
And we deliver then the systems, the pipelines, specialised pipelines, deliver the systems to the cell freezers. And we ensure that supply is and continuity is maintained, but also there's some serious safeguard issues in relation to us as humans when we're dealing with liquid gases. Okay. And cryogenics is a liquid gas business. We're normally talking about liquefied gases at very cold temperatures. So minus 196 is liquid nitrogen, minus 186 is liquid oxygen. But if you're looking at minus 70s, as Connell mentioned earlier on for the vaccine distribution, that's really what they call ultra low temperatures. But a lot of the times I'm out with clients and I ask them, what temperature, what do you consider cryogenic temperature? Now, normally when they answer me that, they tell me what gases they're using, because it normally indicates and directs me towards the gas they're using. Is it liquid CO2? Is it liquid oxygen, liquid nitrogen, liquid argon? So lots of different liquid gases, but therein is where it falls into cryogenics. But a big pharma company, they call -40 cryogenic temperature. Not really.
Okay, yeah,
Cryogenic temperature is where really what you're putting the cells to sleep so that their activity is become
you slow it all down.
You slow it all down.
So it's kind of like Demolition Man with Sidestone.
So if you imagine an IVF clinic.
Can we do that with him? Can we reverse time?
I've actually, in the States, there is a science called cryonics, where you freeze humans and human parts, right?
They pay a lot of money for this, the lunatics, when they die.
They do, but I don't think there's any value in freezing Connell. I'm sorry.
I'm the Austin Powers of broadcasting.
It's actually, we don't, that service isn't
You're
provided
like more
here,
like Dr. Evil, I would have thought.
Stateside.
Mini-me.
Stateside's cryonics is actually there, and there was a sad case of a young girl in the UK, I think, if you remember, a year or so ago, who was terminally ill. But she wanted to be frozen so that on the basis that there would be a cure found for her disease and she would be brought back when the time came.
Yeah.
But I think there's some serious issues to be considered around that, because if it is in 200 years' time, your family and context are all gone.
Yeah, there's actually, randomly, there's a show on Netflix, I can't remember what it's called, but it's all about that, where they you have a host body and you're basically, your whole, let's call it your soul, your brain is on it like a disc.
Yeah.
And you can upload it to the cloud and download it into a new body every time if you die, if your host body dies and all this sort of stuff.
I'll buy
kind of like that, but kind of different, but randomly. So your come back to the actual stuff we're talking about here, right? Your USP, I'm curious about it. So are you integrating all the technology?
There's multiple controls around these gases.
Yeah.
So we build and deliver the controls for the safeguarding facility.
When you say controls, sorry to jump in, do you mean like physical type controls, or are you talking integrating software and having software controls, or both?
It's not software, but it is physical controls to say stop the supply of gas in the event of something. Serious one. Low oxygen.
Yeah.
And liquid gases deplete local oxygen levels in an enclosed space. So we're in an enclosed space here. We throw a few litres of liquid nitrogen onto the floor here. It expands at 1 litre to 683 litres of gaseous gas. So that depletes oxygen. And that's a serious issue for us as humans.
My head just exploded there.
So when we're talking about cryogenic liquid gases, we're always talking about oxygen levels and the safety of us as human beings.
Wow. Hang on a second now, Tony.
Yeah.
The real reason that you're here is
you're bringing me back to semen again.
Everybody wants to know about the vaccines.
The vaccines,
What do you know that we're not allowed to know about these vaccines? Will you be distributing them? When will we see them? I won't ask you to say.
Did you bring any with you there in your back pocket?
I have a few in my back pocket, but we would love to be involved in the distribution and assist in the distribution of those vaccines. It's still work in progress, and I certainly have ideas and impressions about what the HSE are planning to do, but we're knocking at the right doors.
From what I've read, the different vaccines have different
requirements for cold storage. Yeah.
So that means, I think that means we have to have them stored in big locations to get people there.
They can be big or small. I mean, we do small portable they call them -80 freezers. They're ultra low freezers. Now, Tony Harbison made reference to -70 freezing for the cold storage of the vaccines for distribution. And these are the specific vaccines from Pfizer and BioNTech.
Yeah.
And these require -70. So you can do it a number of ways. So I've had calls, how do I fly the vaccines from Germany to Ireland, Tony? Can you do that? And I said, well, you can, but there's easier ways to do it. Because they were asking me about cryogenics. And I said, cryogenics is not the solution for flying semen vaccine. You can fly biologicals by air, but they tend to be in low volumes, small volumes. They want these in large volumes. So it's most likely from Germany to here, it'll be truck.
Yeah, stick it on the boat, no?
We know of companies here in Ireland who have acquired -70 trucks. So that certainly is telling us, and one of them is a previous employer of mine, who I'm hoping is listening out there, because I've been trying to touch you and talk to you for the last week and a half.
Name and shame.
No,
I know who it is.
You name and shame.
I can't.
United Drug.
I did work for United Drug for 14 years.
United Drug, please contact Tony.
So my impression is that they will be transported from the production facility, which we believe
that's just
Belgium and Germany.
The Pfizer one, though.
Yes.
So some that are stored in
ambient 2 to 8. Yeah. There's different types.
So they're more applicable to GPs and stuff like that, I imagine. Is that right?
They will be most likely distributed. We're having a lot of inquiries from biobanks around the country about, and they're being
What's
asked.
a biobank?
A biobank is where they store biologicals. Now, there's private companies who do this for companies who produce goods and must put away a certain amount of the batch as a quality control for a number of years after they're produced. It could be drugs, it can be biologicals, anything really. It's like, I mean,
it's a whole ecosystem out there that I certainly don't know anything about.
Well, this is what this show does to me every time. My brain just explodes because I just go, this is a whole industry and this is Ireland, an industry that's booming over here, and we're not screaming and shouting about it. But you export a lot, I'd say, do you?
We are in the export, but it's our technology, and we work a lot through project management channels. So we try and tie in with the PM, Jacobs, DPS, those type of companies, where we go and build facilities for companies. So in the last 4 or 5 months, we've been building for Merck and Carlo, Bristol Myers and Cruzrath, Regeneron and Limerick, and they're all in the pharma biotech business. That's the big part of the business. But we also deal in human reproduction, so the 8 or 9 IVF clinics in Ireland, and then also with the AI and the research institutions. But biologicals, what I mean by biologicals, we deal with 5 or 6 hospitals. And you say, why so few? I focus on the hospitals which have a relationship with organs. So when a researcher wants to do research on a cancer, maybe it's breast cancer, brain cancer, they usually attach themselves to the hospital where they can get biopsies of tumours which have a known and have information recorded on them. Yeah. That information is stored in a biobank. So it could be Tala for pancreas, Bowman for brain. Yeah. So there are hospitals associated with organs, and we follow those. And then you've the 4 stem cell facilities in Ireland as well, which again are attached to 4 hospitals: James's, Vincent's, Galway and Crumlin. Wow. So the new hospital, the big one with the big hole in the ground up by the river, yes, we're following and trying to get in contact with that, because there will be certainly facility in there that will be our business.
You obviously have a fabulous business. It's pretty niche, and you will have a great 2021.
Yep.
But our little chat on the phone, I just wanted to touch on that.
What did I say? I deny it.
You touched on.
Remember, he said he can't remember that.
You said that it was not plain sailing.
No.
And I prefer to keep it real on that Great Business Show.
It is a good business and a good business model, but it's not been without its peaks and troughs. And certainly, I started this business actually in 2004 after I left United Drug. United Drug, did I mention that? I left United Drug and started a business, and then I was courted by a business in the UK, and I will keep some of this confidential, but I set up a business here in Ireland.
I like that.
Yeah. I set up a business.
This is his own podcast series going on.
I set up a business in Ireland which had, the thought process was it was better to own a small percentage of something big rather than have 100% of something small.
100%.
Well, by golly, did I learn that was a serious mistake, because a year and a half later,
why is that a mistake? Because
I got, as a minority shareholder, I was sold with the business to a very large multinational, and I never saw it coming. Now, I was warned by my lawyers and my accountants that I was exposed. But my argument back in 2006 was, well, look, I still have my small business, and if something goes wrong, I'll go back. Lo and behold, 1st of January 2009, that's exactly what happened. After I got myself out of an unholy mess, after getting the call on April Fool's Day 2008, Tony, thanks very much. We're off now. And I said, oh, are you going on holidays? And she said, no, we've sold the business, and we just want to thank you. And but they disappeared, and I was pretty much goosed. I can use some pretty flowery language as to what happened after that. But
so are you goosed? Are you goosed from what you're doing point of view? Because I'm guessing financially you're rewarded for it.
No, because in the difficult situation was the international company arrived in here on the 2nd of April and met me in Dublin Airport, and they produced the piece of paper and said, Tony, we need that, your signature on the bottom of that, so that you sign over your shares to us. Now, I was obliged to do that as part of my contract if the business was sold. What happened was that I said, it was a great opportunity for me. I'm really pleased to be getting an opportunity like this with a big global organisation. But to be far to that, now I had been groomed by my solicitors for the whole previous day. So I went in there and told them, I need to feel part of this organisation, and until I have a contract of employment, I don't feel that this is right. The American CEO turned to the Irish distributor and said, get Harbison a contract by the close of this week. So I didn't sign that document. But once I had a contract from this business, it waived all the terms of the previous contract in place. And now those shareholding was for sale. So I did get something out of it. But you had
to think about it and plan it.
It was a difficult situation,
And tough time.
But a lot of learnings that has obviously fed into this business.
I'm learning every day. I mean, the 1st of January 2009, who would start a business then? But the business model is good, and we've been growing we won an Enterprise Award in 2010, and we won another Enterprise Award 2 years ago. So it's been okay.
Well done.
And it's keeping the wolf from the door.
That's it.
And that is Tony Harbison. I won't call you what I was going to call you. And his company is Asistec.
Conal
and United
Jamie,
Drugs.
thanks very much for christening me now King Seaman.
And United Drug can find you where?
We're based in Bray in County Wicklow, but all they need to do is key in Harbison and it'll go straight to me.
Thank you so much.
Thanks,
Conal. Thanks, Jamie.
Now, what's the ideal present from a child to an adult? It could be something inexpensive that will last throughout the year. Sounds good? Well, a 50ml bottle of de facto shaving oil is affordable and should last well into 2022. Yes, a year plus. A reminder of their thoughtfulness every day of the year. And you can help your kids buy de facto shaving oil at defacto.com. It's delivered to your door anywhere in the world. Christmas sorted.
It's all go, let Cursey know on thatgreatbusinessshow.com. That Great Business Show.
Probably the most famous radio ad in Ireland is the Barry's Tea Christmas ad about the old guy reminiscing about the toy train. But now it's got a serious contender. The Supervalu TV ad about whether he is coming is a world-class tearjerker and is, in my opinion, better than any other Christmas TV ad on any channel here or across the water. That Great Business Show celebrates the best of Irish business, so it was great to learn that the ad is an all-Ireland affair, scripted, shot and acted right here. And the creative company behind the ad is Dublin-based TBWA, where Yvonne Caplice is business director. Welcome to thatgreatbusinessshow.com, Yvonne.
Thanks very much. Thanks for having me.
And congratulations to a wonderful, wonderful ad.
I'm sure this ad's going to win every single award that's going next year.
Fingers crossed, that'll be the plan. We'll get it into a few awards next year. A lot of the award ceremonies were cancelled actually this year because of COVID, so they'll be back on track next year.
Well, hopefully it'll be up there on the stage, loads of people around us. But tell me this, right? These kind of ads, it's amazing this was all stayed, happened, created, innovated from Ireland, in Ireland. How does the process start?
So this ad, I suppose we started in July working on Supervalu's Christmas campaign, and we had about 6 ideas on the table at the time. Some of them are around value. We had some about community, and this one won out. Initially, they picked a different concept, but then came back to this one because it just grabbed everybody. And I suppose we as an agency and Supervalu probably felt confident in themselves that they had a right to go into this emotional space for Christmas.
But that was a choice.
Yeah.
So it wasn't that straightforward. So they had to look at A, you said 6, A, B, C, D, E, F, whatever, and then choose. And it was... Whose clever idea was it to choose the best one, which is the one we see?
Yeah, a combination of the clients.
No, I meant to say you. Or Supervalu, all Supervalu.
Well, it was our preferred ad. It was our favourite. Like, the agency will always go in with a recommended script. The client doesn't always pick the agency recommendation or the agency favourite, but in this instance they did. And the minute we even internally saw the ad, saw the script for the first time, everybody just loved it. We were like, oh my God, I hope they go with this one. So yeah, it was fantastic that they did. It was.
But you handed a written script and a group of you have to work out from the script only, or is there a storyboard to see exactly where this is going?
So the way we work in the office, we have a strategic planning department. So when the brief comes in to the agency, they take the brief, the client brief, and they create a creative brief that's going to help the creative team like with ideas. So how we landed on this was Supervalu, I suppose because they're a family business and they're owned by local retailers and run by families all over the country. Family is hugely important to them and community as a brand. At the start of September, Supervalu, they have an insights team and they have a panel of customers that they go to for insights. And they asked 100 customers to write letters to their future selves about what Christmas was going to be like this year. So our strategic planning team got a look at some of those letters, read the letters, and it was really obvious that the sentiment throughout all of them was about the importance of family at Christmas. So that's what led us to our creative brief, which was that this was going to be a Christmas like no other. So then the creative team take the brief.
That line obviously just jumps off the script, but did that line, that insight, is it something that just sparks, or like is it a bit of a process to pull that out, or are these the kind of ads that it just lands?
Yeah, I suppose there is, because there's loads of different ways that you can approach any idea, but Paul and Marty, the creative team on it, just came up with this script. And the minute, because we would have internal meetings before we present anything to the client, the minute all of us saw the script, we were like, oh my God, it's just...
Were there tears?
Yeah, definitely. There was cheers from us, there was cheers from the client, cheers from everybody.
And you're sitting around a table, and did anybody
Sitting at home on a Zoom call.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
And did a jaw drop, or what was the magic moment?
Yeah, everybody it got everybody straight away. Like, everybody had a frog in their throat or cutting onions. Like we all had
My mascara's running.
tear in our eye. Yeah, exactly.
And then that has to be translated onto the screen. That's a further process, obviously, and you can lose something in the translation.
Yeah, so the next stage, I suppose, the creative team would work out the visuals, what they want to happen throughout the ad, what the action's going to be. And then we tender it out to production companies. And the production companies work with their directors and they would come back to us with, it's called a treatment. So every director would have their own interpretation of how they see the finished ad being made. And that treatment would include their thoughts on the casting, on the location, on the shooting style. Was it going to be shot dark, or would there be slow motion, or any of that detail? It's all there. So when they present back then to the agency, we would choose our favourite treatment and we would recommend that to the client. And then if the client likes it, that's the production company that gets chosen.
So I love how you guys use data in a way at the very start of pulling the insights from the customers. Mm-hmm. And with an ad like this that's pulling on emotional heartstrings to beat the band, how do you define numbers, or how do you define success then? Because I know you had the Lord Mayor, you had Ryan Tubridy, you had everyone. I probably tweeted about it as well. You know what I mean? It was such a powerful ad. Yeah. But how do you measure it? Like, how do you tell the client this is what success looks like?
I suppose it's different when you come to brand communications, which is what this was. We've been running a value campaign since September, and when you're looking at value, you can see, their scores for value are gone up 2% in the last year. They're the number one supermarket for the last 7 months. So it's very easy to define value because you can see sales performance and all of those other metrics. When it comes to brand, you're measuring different things. So Supervalu do ad tracking every month with Red Sea, and they would score in different areas. So you'll see the brand scores coming through from this. And
give us the insight. I presume it's 101% or whatever the measure is, 11 out of 10 for the brand on this one. I mean, this is...
I haven't seen the scores on this one yet.
Go on,
so
you have.
You definitely have. You're a liar.
I saw the look. She has. What is the score?
No, actually, I don't know. So the tracking, it's done on a monthly basis, but it takes a few weeks for an ad to start to
How long's the ad on air for now?
When did it launch?
Did you go live? It went live in November.
19th of November.
You definitely
She's
have
definitely
something.
Has, exactly.
But the success for us was just how it went viral straight away.
And you said the cut-through. It's cut-through beyond.
Yeah.
Has anybody in the UK or anywhere else seen this and said, we want something similar?
No, not yet, but hopefully that'll come down
that
the
is
tracks.
you have now shown it's good and exceptionally good. Yeah.
So obviously the world that you're in, try and give, we a lot of SMEs listen in, and some of them don't do any advertising or anything around brand even, you know what I mean? Can you give us a sense of how transformative it can be to communicate the value of your brand, or the other side, more, what was the value you were saying, in kind of a more numbers point of view? How important is it to do it and do it in the right way?
Sorry, no, Dominic, can you ask that question again?
I'm trying to get an insight into how important is it to businesses to communicate what their brand is about? And then the two different ways that you can do it, a very value-centric sort of way that you talk about with Supervalu, or a very brand sort of way. How important is it to companies to do it? Because there's a lot of companies who aren't doing it because they don't really understand it.
Yeah.
It's also expensive.
Well, TV definitely is, yeah.
Okay, so I suppose, like you're saying, there is two sides to it. There's brand communications and there's tactical communications where you're communicating a price or an offer. So I suppose really the two have to work together, because if you go out as a brand communicating, this is our service, this is what we do, but you don't have any brand equity built up because nobody knows who you are, why I should buy from you, why I should trust you. I don't know anything about your brand. I don't know what you stand for. So the two really have to work in conjunction. So even going back to Supervalu as an example, throughout the year, they have, I suppose, an always on where they're always communicating value and price because, you know, that's their business. They're in the retail business. But they also have to communicate brand and what they stand for so that builds up over time, and that will help customers to decide their brand for someone like me because they have the same values as me. They believe in community, they believe in value. You know, if you think of their sponsorships, they sponsor the GA and the Tidy Towns. So again, they're very community-based sponsorships. Yeah. And all of those pieces of brand comms are building up over time and just convincing people.
Because I'm guessing people buy on emotion rather than, well, sorry, I'm sure they buy in value as well, but over like long term, it's emotion, is it?
Yeah, it's just built over longer term then, yeah.
This is possibly an unfair question. Yeah. I don't know whether you work with any of the banks, but my God, the banks could do with some rebranding. Can I ask you, first of all, do you work with any of the banks before I embarrass you?
No, not at the moment.
Okay, well, not at the moment. Well, you mightn't after this.
Well, hold on. It could have been one of these campaigns. No, I doubt it was one of the campaigns you're referring to.
What would you do with some of the larger banks to try to make them nicer, to appear nicer? Because I think they don't have any equity in their brands at the moment.
I think the bank's advertising is actually, you know, they are doing a lot of really good brand advertising, and AIB, I think, do great work. But the problem is the reality of being a customer with the banks. And I suppose we've all been stung with Celtic Tiger, and you know, we're not going to forget any of that too soon.
People don't forget.
But if you spent enough money on it, could you, I won't say brainwash, but certainly help forget?
I think it has to be a combination of the customer experience along with the brand, and customer experience is just so important for any company now that advertising is not going to pull the wool over anybody's eyes.
A lot of them have big legacy issues as well in terms of that customer experience.
Yeah.
So what you're saying, it's impossible for them. Have I just hung you?
But to come to her and she can turn the ship around.
Yeah, exactly.
Final question. You've obviously been in the advertising game for a while. Mm-hmm. What is your absolutely favorite? We will assume that Supervalu is your number one at the moment. Prior to that, what would have been a brilliant ad?
It's funny, actually. One of my favourite ads is FBD. I don't know if you remember the one with...
Don't mention that name here. Don't mention that name here. I'm having a bit of a battle with them.
Oh, moving on. Sorry, go back to the ad.
But go on anyway. I'll let this one pass.
It's the FBD one with Lady Gaga and all the Rashers. And it was actually written by our executive creative director, Des Creedon, when he worked in a previous agency. But yeah, it's very Irish and very funny, very Irish humour.
I don't remember at all.
No.
I'll send it to you afterwards.
And
is that a kind of reference to that meat dress she wore?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
See, I'm down with the kids.
I know. I remember. Russia's all over. Final question is, When you will find out about the score from on Supervalu Ad a few days' time, actually, I would imagine.
Hopefully.
And then what will you mark down as a success? Is it the Lions or the Cannes Lions?
The Cannes Lions.
Yeah, is that the one you're going to go for?
I think the success for us was just in the reaction, the fact that it went viral so quickly. As talked about, it was absolutely. It doesn't happen very often.
You want one of the medals.
Well, we would love an award, yes. Yeah. Cannes Lion would be amazing. So that would be next June. I think that is.
Well, all I can say is we'll be looking forward to next June.
Yeah.
But it's not, unfortunately, it's not a public vote. It's not. It's the industry.
It's industry votes, yeah.
If you don't get number one, whoever's on that panel has a stone heart.
You have got to make sure that you shout out for all of the creatives that you mentioned and also the production company and also your mammy.
I will indeed.
Get the mammy done.
My mom is Mary Caplice in Listowel in County Kerry, and happy birthday again,
Mary.
Mom. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday to you.
So the production company then were H2 Films. They're a Dublin-based production company. Keith Hutchinson and Jack Armstrong were the producers, and we had a director from the UK, Sam Huntley, and then the creative team and the full team back in the office. So Ronnie O'Hana is on my team. The planner was Kathleen Moore, Des Creedon, executive creative director, and then we had Marty Corcoran and Paul Arthurs, the creative team.
Wow.
So yeah.
And you did that without looking at
all
notes?
of them. No notes.
Oh, no, that is fantastic. And I think they all do deserve a massive, big shout out from them.
And the client, I have to shout out the client. Des O'Mahony, Shane Lynch and Tara Clifford and Ray Kelly. Absolutely amazing clients. And I know it's a real cliche to say, oh, they're an extension or the agency are an extension of the marketing team. But we really feel we are like working with Supervalu over the last few months over COVID. They're really good partners.
And if AIB want to find you, they will find Yvonne Caplice.
Oh, they know where we are.
At
TBWA.
Exactly. But open up the purse because it could be a very expensive operation. Yvonne, thank you so much for joining us on That Great Business Show. And thatgreatbusinessshow.com is your great business show. Our listeners known as Team GPS are here for you, to support you and your business, to help others in business. Tell them to subscribe. Tell them we're Ireland's best business podcast and that they can find us on Apple, Google, Spotify, the lot. Tell them we do business differently.
Subscribe today to That Great Business Show on your favourite podcast platform, including Apple and Spotify.
At the start of the pandemic, there was a worldwide panic to find personal protective equipment, or PPE, a word that has entered our everyday language. However, for Dublin-based PPE and scrubs manufacturer Happy Threads, PPE has been in their vocab since their foundation in 2009. Happy Threads was founded to bring modern, fashionable scrubs to Ireland, the UK, and beyond. The two entrepreneurs behind Happy Threads are dentist Abigail Moore and civil engineer Daniel Plewman. And Daniel joins us now on That Great Business Show. Daniel, call me a traditionalist, but civil engineers normally design bridges, roads, that kind of thing, not scrubs. How much reinforced steel do you actually use in your scrubs?
That was terrible.
Very little.
But there's none of that in your notes in front of you there.
There's a tiny bit of steel in some of the face masks. Pinches around the nose. We do a nice line in the ones that pinch your nose.
This morning's Irish Times, €950 million spent by the HSE in 2020 on PPE. How much of that did you get?
Not the whole lot, unfortunately, but we got a little slice of the pie, let's say.
How many people, like, obviously when the pandemic hit, there was a big not gold rush, but a big rush to get PPE into Ireland. We were all following these planes on the flight tracker apps, going over and back and all that sort of stuff, right? People like Liam Casey paying an absolute blinder behind the scenes moving all this stuff, right? But obviously it was a bit of a supply and demand. So people would have seen a bit of an opportunity there. From someone who has been in that market for, over 10 years now, and seeing how it transpired and people piling into the market, what were the lessons we were getting there? Because there's no way that guts of €1 billion. There's definitely people who have lost out, and then there's people who have been shrewd and have won.
There were a lot of challenges. First of all, the supplies ran out. I mean, we sold out of especially our lower end, cheaper stuff. We sold out in a couple of weeks. Wow. And we couldn't get it.
And what's that normally like? How long would that normally last you?
We would have sold probably 2 months' stock in the space of 2 or 3 weeks, but we weren't able to replenish it.
Okay.
That was the problem. There was nothing coming behind. Some of it comes from factories in Pakistan, for example. They were on lockdown. Then they reopened, but then the Pakistani government kept it in Pakistan. Some of it comes from China. Obviously, we couldn't get anything out of China, or you could pay ransom money to get stuff out. We were quoted $100,000 to ship a small container of scrubs, to air freight a small container from China.
And that would usually cost?
We'd normally sea freight it for 2,000 or 3,000 euros.
Oh my
but
God.
we wouldn't have been able to put that onto the cost because
Don't think so.
it was not a time to increase the price of scrubs to our customers. So we were very conscious of that. So
who do you normally supply scrubs to?
Nurses, dentists, healthcare workers, that would be our main market. So the global healthcare sector, GP practices,
And how did you? Sorry, we were meant to start with this. How did you get into that? From being an engineer, how do you fall into? I'm going to make scrubs.
I suppose the engineering thing. I was designing bridges and hotels and apartments back in 2008, 2009, and then I was.
I wonder what happened back then. Yeah.
My wife was a dentist, and she was buying a product from the US, and she couldn't get it here in Ireland. She contacted the company and said, is there anywhere in the Ireland or the UK we can buy this? And they said, we're looking for a distributor. Do you know any? So I registered
Happy days.
I registered a company and said I'm a distributor of scrubs for the Irish UK market.
What was so different about the scrubs?
At the time, you could only get some very basic traditional scrubs here. They were polyester. They were uncomfortable. They were sweaty. They just weren't nice. Right. They were cheap, but they just weren't nice, and there was no choice. So the Americans at the time, they had high cotton fabrics, stretchy fabrics. They were in really nice colors. Almost making it kind of sexy.
Yeah, that was for the TV shows.
Yeah, exactly.
God bless George Clooney.
Yeah, it was what people were seeing on the TV shows, but you couldn't get that. So there was demand for it.
Wow, and
that's how we
excuse my lack of knowledge here, but are the scrubs like a one-time off thing, and then? No,
we do have a cheaper end that would be. They're not quite disposable. We don't do disposable. We never got into that.
Yeah.
But a lot of our main market is higher end stuff. So it's at the moment what we're selling is a lot of engineered polyester. So it works on the moisture wicking principle, like sportswear.
Okay.
So it's high end, like it's really fitted and sexy, and it's got zips and colors, and it's for people who want to pay a bit more to look a bit nicer.
Yeah.
We do sell a cheaper product as well, but we try and offer the range of scrubs. So depending on what the person wants.
And you're here, the UK, France. You have plans to go further afield. Finger in the air. Do you own much of the market?
Finger in the air in the Irish market right now, it's very hard to gauge because it's been such a crazy couple of months. As you say, there's been opportunists coming in. We've had a lot of new competition. So I actually don't know what percentage of the market we hold. I think next year we'll be in a better position when it settles down.
Would you have 20%, 40%, 6%?
I'd say 40 maybe.
That's healthy. That is very healthy. Now that's in Ireland, and then the UK.
In the UK, we have focused on the dental market there. We maybe have 40% of the dental market there. And in the general healthcare sector, we're probably 5 to 10%, but it's a very big market.
It's a big market. And you are manufacturing yourselves now?
We have started, in the pandemic, because we couldn't get our supplies in, we started manufacturing in Portugal. So we were able to get stuff in quickly. The logistics was a little bit less challenging. Getting products in from the US was an absolute nightmare, and you were paying ransom money for it. Same from the Far East. So we were able to get it, and it is nicer to get things a little bit more locally now that we're entering. People are conscious of climate change, and being able to source locally is a plus.
And Brexit is coming. What does that mean to you?
Can someone tell me?
I say it again. We had the accountant.
From BDO.
Yeah. And she said that everybody should know, but nobody's like.
You got to. I think
people like you say, "I don't know."
Yeah.
But is the challenge with that because for a long time it was like push back, and then COVID hit, and your focus just went to that.
Yeah.
I think that's the trend, is it?
That's part of it. We've been, fingers crossed there'll be some kind of deal will be arranged. We won't have this Armageddon scenario that's possibility at this stage. All we can do is prepare to the best of our knowledge. We have a base in Northern Ireland. This morning I was registering yet another company, another UK tax number, just trying to position ourselves that we have, if we have to move some of our warehouse to Northern Ireland, do we have to move it to the mainland UK? What do we do regarding VAT and tariffs? Because especially in the UK, it's such a competitive market, we can't afford to be double tariffed.
Yeah.
So that's one thing we must avoid. We may end up absorbing costs, and we have a provision in place to absorb costs for the first month or two next year if we have to get us set up.
And are you manufacturing in Portugal for the UK? Because that again is going to be a further headache, because that will be EU to UK.
Yeah. It is.
Well, that's why the Northern Ireland base might be a workaround. No,
Well, you're not allowed to do that, Jamie. That's typically you now. Bring it in here, over the border, over to UK.
I know, but just even from a logistical point of view, you'll still get tariffed.
But that's the problem.
I know.
And we don't know what the tariff will be, obviously, because they haven't agreed anything.
And whether Northern Ireland will be separately tariffed. I mean, it's borders on the Irish Sea, the borders on where is the border? Yeah. I mean, there's no borders, but yet there's borders. So how is that going to work?
On the theme of, let's say, change and pivoting, which we talk about and all that sort of thing, what, if any, change did you have to make when COVID hit?
Well, obviously, all our staff had to work remotely, which in fairness, they really rose to the challenge very quickly. Our demand, went up fourfold. Like, we could have sold my warehouse 100 times over. We had opportunists trying to buy. We had to limit the number of products people could buy because we wanted to keep our regular customers. We had to satisfy them and not let someone else jump on the bandwagon. And there were a lot of opportunists trying to hoard as well. There were people trying to buy stock to resell it at a higher price. So we had to be very careful with all of that. What was your question?
That's the second time that's happened today.
I know. I'm talking too much shite.
That's a technical term.
No, just so, you were talking about a lot of people who might have been not in the PPE space, but because their business was struggling or whatever, they had to pivot into it. But you were in the space. Were there other challenges that made your company pivot or ID new routes to market or new products?
I mean, look, we had a huge surge in demand for our main core product. So one of the things we didn't try and do was reinvent the wheel and go into every form of PPE gear. Yeah. And a lot of people got very badly burned. We did go into face masks, but it wasn't a huge, and we didn't go into it in a huge way. Yeah. We always actually did sell face masks, but we used to sell about 20 a year. No one wanted them until this year. So it was really trying to manage the actual demand that was there and trying to manage our logistics. I mean, I think maybe an engineering background came in handy because a lot of my time over the last few months has been dealing with logistics, trying to get our products in without paying extortionate amount of money, because we could not afford to push our prices up to the end consumer. So luckily, because of an increase in volume, we were able to absorb some of it that way. So happily, we haven't had a price increase, even though our logistics costs have gone up fourfold.
We love seeing or hearing about the insights or hacks that people go through with business. And you just mentioned there that you try to keep stock away from the opportunists and to service your regular customers. How do you actually tell a regular customer that he can't have or she can't have all that she wants?
Do you know, most of our regular customers weren't trying to buy up half our warehouse.
Most. What about the ones who were?
And the ones who were, we just couldn't do it. I mean, that's just.
But what do you say to them? Go away.
No. We say we don't have it.
Okay.
We can't. There is a limit on our website, and that's that's there, and we can't change that.
So what does the future hold? So we're seeing 11% growth in 2021. Vaccines coming out. Do you think you're still going to see this demand that you had this year, or how do you plan for that?
That's a really good question. And with pre-COVID, I've been trying to get invest in this participation model with my staff. A participation model where they're involved in all the decisions and they're effectively stakeholders in the company. And been trying to think about that now. What is our business going to look like in a post-COVID world? Where are we going to be when this there's light at the end of the tunnel. I won't be sorry to see the demand for face masks drop. I mean, even though we're selling them, personally, I'd be glad. So what is it going to be like? And we've learned a lot. I mean, we've learned a lot about logistics and about how we can service customers more efficiently. Yeah. Our model was forced to become a lot more efficient. We invested in technology. Yeah. And now, what can we do? What new markets can we go into with this?
I'd imagine with the fact that it's you if you had an online presence, you double down on that online presence over the last 9 months, and does that make entry into other markets easier for you?
Yes, I mean, we are effectively an online business, and we did have a shop until March, but obviously that's closed. So it's that is the focus, and how you can service other markets in an online world. How we can service the French market from Dublin, how we can service the UK market from Dublin, or wherever we're going to be servicing it from in January, and how that's going to work. So there's definitely opportunities, and that's, I guess, one of the things I'm trying to think about now. When I'm in the shower, is if Brexit all goes terribly wrong, well, we lose out on one hand, but are there opportunities on the other hand?
And are you ordering, or have you ordered already? What's the kind of line of sight you need for ordering? Because it's hard to tell what the demand's going to be, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. So we have short and long order cycles. So some of our products, we have a 6 months order cycle. It comes in on a ship from China. So it's ordered pre-factory and comes in. That's a 6 month cycle. And then we have a short order cycle that we can order in a couple of days. Obviously, we pay a premium for that. So it's trying to get the mix right and keep your stock levels at a certain level. Being able to offer, having the short order cycles allows us to offer a lot more choice. Yeah. So we can offer a product, for example, we can offer it in 24 colours, 3 different leg lengths, and 8 different sizes. So that creates a lot of SKUs. Yeah. But having that short order cycle allows us to do that, whereas the long order cycle, we have to commit 6 months in advance to
go back into your shower, because that's obviously where you do your thinking.
I'm just seeing him in the shower now.
The big problem I can imagine for you will be that there must be so much PPE in the world now. It's just been on steroids. So maybe, I don't wish this on you, that next year will be 0 orders.
It's funny, I've had that conversation with some of our customers and some of our suppliers, that we have this fear that someone's going to wake up one day and going, hang on, we've got a container of PPE out there. We're not ordering any for the next 10 years. I believe that a lot of our products, because they're more personalised, they're higher end, that there will still be demand for it. There isn't a huge amount of those products stored in the container. There's a lot of cheaper products that maybe people do or don't want.
That's the thing. You allowed people to be somewhat unique, and you sell to individuals rather than a whole hospital or whatever. Is that right?
We do both.
Okay.
Yeah, we do both. But a lot of our target market is the individual who wants to pay a premium for something nice that they're happy to wear. And in 3 or 6 months' time, they might want a different colour or a different style.
The future. Benelux. Is that it? Or have you got even bigger ideas?
One step at a time. I've learned the hard way not to try and spread myself too thin and do everything in one go. So I've very much taken the approach throughout the last 10 years of dealing with one market, focusing on it, getting traction in there. So one step at a time.
And you say you, but is Abigail, your wife, is she in the business?
She is, yeah. She's also a dentist and
but she actually is a practicing dentist as well.
She is, yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah. I saw that on the website. All right, yeah. And that is where, she's obviously.
So she's a client. She's a partner. Yeah. She's wearing a lot of different hats there.
Yeah,
she's a mom.
She is, yeah.
She's Superwoman by the sounds of it.
Absolutely, and she's our target market effectively. So she's great for bouncing off ideas.
That's nice idea.
Yeah, that's great.
My 10-year-old son.
So
says,
are you paying her a load of different ways now? She better be getting paid if she's listed.
That's what my 10-year-old son says. She said, "Mummy's your worst customer, Daddy, because she never pays for anything. She gets all the free scrubs and never pays for them."
I'd say you pay in different ways. Anyway, Daniel Plewman of of Happy Threads, thank you so much for joining us on That Great Business Show. De facto proudly claims that it is the best anyone can get. It is the world's best shaving oil for men and women, made in Ireland, sold to the world from defactoshave.com. Buy it today.
You're listening to That Great Business Show with Conal O'Moran and Jamie Heaslip. ThatGreatBusinessShow.com. This could be your ad on That Great Business Show.
Vivid Age has a simple business model. They want to save larger companies with big energy bills up to, or even more than, 30% of those energy costs. Better still, companies don't have to stump up any cash, as all costs come out of the savings. Sounds attractive? Well, yes, indeed. Vivid Age has already raised tens of millions of euro to fund its projects from a large European energy efficiency fund. The company's first customer was a large hospital, and it's also looking at projects in food and data processing, pharma and telecoms, covering areas such as lighting, heating, cooling and, of course, chilling. The brains behind Vivid Age is Tracy O'Rourke, who spent most of her career in financial services and aircraft leasing before striking out on her own 5 years ago. Thanks for joining That Great Business Show, Tracy.
I'm looking forward to it. Thanks so much for having me.
You had a proper job. What madness made you want to go into a startup, your own startup?
Well, I'm laughing because you're sounding like my father here. And I don't know, it's, when I embarked on my career, I very much followed a traditional corporate path, which was reasonably successful. And I did that for many years. And I just got to a point where and it's interesting. I do believe that careers are very much a journey, and I go through very many different chapters. I think that's what's wonderful about life now. But for me, I just wanted to innovate a little bit more. And, you guys will know, and big companies are terrific. And I'm bringing a huge amount of big company expertise to Vivid Edge. But if you want to innovate in a big company, it takes a long time to turn a big ship. So I realized I wanted to innovate more than I was been able to do in a large company. And also I gradually realized that purpose was important to me. So Vivid Edge was really an opportunity to innovate and to do something commercial, but with a social purpose at the heart. And our social purpose is climate action.
An accountant with a heart.
So
can I just say the business has the heart.
So is there a distinctive moment, light bulb went off and you went, right, I'm out of this and I'm into that?
It really took an awfully long time, Jamie, and I would say it wasn't an easy decision, and certainly it was one that nobody I knew thought was a good idea. Certainly not my husband. Kids were quite supportive. I think bemused, family concerned, and none of my friends could understand why would you leave a really big company to join a small company. And I'm going, because it's my small company, but that didn't seem to resonate.
It's my island.
It didn't seem to resonate at all. So I would say it took me a good 5 years after really wanting to do it to pluck up the courage, because it's a huge risk. You're following a certain career path for 25, 30 years, and then it does look like, and I have been accused of indulging in a midlife crisis, but it was much more than that for me.
But Jamie's question still stands.
Yeah.
Was there that little itch at night, or was there
constantly,
something that
what pushed you over the edge?
Constantly, constantly. But I think I spent a long time puzzling out what might it be. But I think ultimately the thing that really pushed me was, when you try and stand back and look at your life, and I said, look, when I'm 95 and I look back on my younger self, what would I advise the younger person to do? And we are meant we are meant to express ourselves, to grow, to expand, and to live life to the full. And we're not supposed to be settling for second best or limiting ourselves. So I thought...
You were never made for corporate life, if that was your thinking. Because corporate life tries to box you in.
Corporate life has really served me well. And if I hadn't had the corporate life, I wouldn't be able to do what I'm doing now. And I actually just think our lives go through different journeys. So, and it's interesting because having left corporate life, I initially worked with a few early stage companies, and they do live in a certain crazier realm. And I did say, what have I done? And then I had a chance to work with an incredible high growth aircraft leasing company that had all of the professionalism that you learn to expect in a very large multinational, but at the same time was really innovative, really agile. And I thought, finally, I have a template, something I can the best of corporate, but kind of peppered with the innovation. And that's really what I was looking to emulate. And I go on to say, the other thing I wanted to do was create an absolutely amazing, great, fun place to work that didn't have the constraints of a big company. And big companies, want to do it, and they do it very, very well. But again, as a smaller company, you just have more things you can do.
What is an accountant's view of great fun? I've been really rude, haven't I?
I'm laughing because I have an exam on Monday and I'm doing financial accounting for managers. And it's been given by an accountant. And he's a lovely man, but I don't know if he's that much crack. So tell me, come on, get rid of that stereotype. Tell us.
But I was like, what's suitable for a radio podcast? But and you know something, I think a great place to work is somewhere where you can.
She's going to tell us how the workplace is class.
A great place to work, I think, is somewhere where you can actually just totally be yourself. Where you don't, and certainly with some of my team, they don't want to work in a rigid role. I know certainly Emer, I have two co-founders, I should say. Emer, our CFO. So it's not just one accountant, there's two and an engineer. So it's even worse than it looks on first inspection, Jamie. But,
no, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm not saying one of the things is being yourself, not being constrained to a rigid role, which is really necessary in big organizations. And, being able to innovate on how we meet what our customers need, and then socially accountants can have fun too.
But of course they do. Now, you're here on That Great Business Show, and one of the reasons that you are here is that you want to sell your business. I don't mean sell it, but to attract customers. So you better do the pitch.
Well, what we're helping, and I'm going to just talk about the problem we're helping solve. We're helping solve climate action, and that's through energy efficiency. And the thinking really, I came from an aircraft leasing background and banking and finance. And a lot of that was about being able to do so much more by renting rather than buying. Yeah. If you think about Ryanair, it's been able to lease aircraft and it was able to expand very, very rapidly. So I was thinking, how can we help businesses do much more than they're currently doing when capital is constrained? And if you think about, so we work with large multinationals. So if you imagine a big telco and they're setting very ambitious climate targets, it's really refreshing to see big companies setting targets without yet knowing how they're going to get there. That's an entrepreneurial way of thinking. And it's wonderful the way that big companies are now embracing this because they have to. So how do you bridge that gap between the capital they have available and then these big stretch targets? So what we do is we bring our capital and we will pay for new lighting, new heating, new air conditioning, new control systems, anything that consumes energy in a data center, in a processing center, and we'll charge a simple monthly service fee.
Give me a real life example of something that you have done.
Yeah, so we have done upgrades. I'll do a very simple lighting project in a telco as an example. And if you imagine telcos, they want to invest in 5G. And they have data centers and offices, and the equipment works absolutely fine. Air conditioning, lighting, it works, but it's gobbling up much more energy than it should. So what we can do is we upgrade, and we have upgraded, say, the lighting, and we've looked at, we've done a business case for rooftop solar and then also air conditioning. So we fully pay for that, and then we charge a monthly fee, and the energy savings are higher than our fee. So our customer hasn't had to put their hand in their pocket. They have saved money from day one, and they've reduced their carbon footprint, and everybody wins. And so it's a real win-win situation.
You, Jamie, are familiar with Urban Volt. This sounds a bit like an Urban Volt.
It does, yeah. It sounds.
What is the difference?
What I would say is we're both solving the same problem in slightly different ways. And it's a very, very big problem. And I think what's fantastic is we have here two great Irish companies solving a really important problem on an international scale. And I think the more we can see Irish companies playing 100%. This role, it's just absolutely terrific.
Have you brought it internationally yet?
Yes, we have. We're very, very well advanced with a few contracts that will be pan-European. So,
amazing.
yes.
So, have they been announced yet?
No.
Oh, come on. Podcast.
He loves an exclusive. He loves an exclusive.
You heard it here
When
first.
eggs, well,
Yeah.
we love that.
Yeah.
So what are they?
So we are. If you think about it, and you know, the customer that we can help the best will be a large multinational that has a program office for energy efficiency across different locations, and it can be different countries, and it can even be different currencies. And typically, we're working, in Europe. Although we do have some opportunities beyond that, but probably we're Ireland into Europe. And if they if they want to move that program at a faster pace, we can be an additional lever in their program office to do multiple projects across different locations. And because we're not tied to any manufacturer, they can have complete choice of supplier. So you can do a very, very deep, comprehensive program at the same time with multiple elements. And we have devised a structure that fits really, really comfortably into a company's existing structure.
How small can you go? How small can the businesses that you will target?
We really work with large multinationals because we have our expertise is finance, it's risk, it's energy efficiency, and we're not into and we don't have the expertise to write, let's say, SME risk. So what we're really doing is our expertise is really around the technology and the structure, and we also believe that impact-wise we can scale more with the large multinationals. So it would be anybody who probably has it would be a large company. Their turnover globally is probably, it could be $1 billion. That's probably where we're playing now. With government organisations, obviously we'll go much smaller than that, and we do work with government organisations as well.
You chose to go into the Nova Accelerator in UCD. Why?
Nova has been such a terrific step, and to take you back about this mad, wild leap that I made from the corporate world, where everyone from there really felt I was insane. I do really believe that your environment is an enormous determinant of your success. And it was really important for me to be in a place where what we were doing was normal and to be surrounded by other entrepreneurs on similar journeys. And Nova has been just the most incredible environment. There's some really, really high caliber companies there, some tremendous experience. The value you get just at the water cooler and the coffee shop, less so at the moment, but over the years. And just the support's still there as well. So we were very grateful
and
to be.
Beautiful green fields around you.
It's such a gorgeous location as well. So it's been a really important part of our story, and we're very, very grateful to be part of that community. And we've gained enormously from it. I mean, I have personally, but also professionally as well.
Where do you see that whole ESG space going? Because you hear a lot of people are greenwashing. You hear a lot of people are
ESG,
environmental, social governance.
Yeah.
Sorry. Okay, moving on.
Do you see the trend continuing, or do you see people just paying lip service, or do you see it when you come in and go, look, here's the bottom line, kind of how we can help, to your balance sheet? Where does it hit home, and is it going to continue to hit home?
I've seen, such an enormous shift. Definitely when we started out, the importance of climate action wasn't fully understood at all. And we've seen an enormous shift, even in the last 12 months, also even in the last quarter. Things definitely sort of paused when COVID landed at the start of this year. But I think, throughout COVID, there's huge parallels between the threat of a major pandemic and the threat of climate. Both are invisible monsters nobody can see. And then I think there's been a realisation. I think a lot of people are sometimes scared into inertia, but there's if you look at businesses like Unilever globally now, they're absolutely heavily purpose-led. They have been for many years. And you're looking at businesses declaring planet as a key pillar of their strategy. I think what's still to happen is businesses are setting these big targets. They're genuinely making commitments, but they're not necessarily organised to deliver those commitments. And that's where we can help. We can help them with their how.
Beautiful segue. How can Team SBS, that's our listeners, how can they help you? What is your ask of them?
Well, I'll talk about it in two different ways. I do firmly believe that that climate is something everybody should do themselves. I think it doesn't have to be scary. And I think trying to be perfect is impossible. So it's about making in the home small changes in business, very, very small changes. You might gradually start recycling more, and then that's a step in the right direction. It's not something you should presume everyone else is going to do. And then at a bigger corporate level, Vivid Edge would love to speak with really forward-thinking multinationals, CFOs, CEOs, or people who are running climate action programs, and anyone who really likes to work collaboratively and who has an appetite to move at pace. And if those things are there, I think we can really together
name
make a huge difference.
Irish companies that you would like to work with.
Oh my goodness me!
Kerry Group, maybe.
3 are absolutely, yes.
I just think of the big ones.
Yeah, no.
I'll take Kerry. I'll take Lombia. I'll take
Kingspan.
And the telcos, Vodafone,
Dimplex, someone like that.
Absolutely, yeah. Well, they're a terrific company. Anne O'Leary's really, really progressive. In fact, we have done some work there. So you're
going to say that anyway, yeah.
But
Anne's a great woman.
She's absolutely terrific. If companies have those elements, and some large multinationals really see the value and agility that an innovative smaller company can bring, and then if you collaborate, you can really move mountains.
And that company that they need to contact is Vivid Edge, and the co-founder with your other two is Tracy O'Rourke. And thank you very much for joining us on That Great Business Show. And that is it from episode 12 of thatgreatbusinessshow.com. As usual, a big thanks to our support team here at the Dublin South FM podcast studios. Most importantly, sound engineer Alison O'Dwyer and post-production engineer Peter Rice, making the two of us sound crisp.
She only said good today.
Like a frosty morning. Do you like that, crisp? I'm kind of a bit of a poet.
Taxi.
Best in class in finding us top companies to feature is, again, Jessica Kenny at the Wicklow Local Enterprise Office. And you too can be a super sleuth by telling us about your company or someone else's company that fits in with what we're looking for. You'll find all details on our website, thatgreatbusinessshow.com. Just press the Share Your Story button and all our requirements will be revealed. Finally, our podcast goes out to thousands all over the world. Our software shows us that we have listeners from Finland to New Zealand, San Francisco to Brazil. And that's in part down to our international marketing team that includes Afric in Noosa, Australia, and Isolt in Brooklyn, New York. The final word, as usual, goes to World Trier of the Decade. See what I did there? World Trier of the Decade, Jamie Heaslip.